Hi folks. So today I'm going to be taking my 2005 Honda Element radio apart and changing the color of the lights. Just for fun, they're not broken. I'm actually changing out all of the lights on my interior so they all match to be red. And this is the first step in that. So yeah, let's get to it. Before we get started, I would like to say that I'm far from a professional. If your car blows up, don't sue me. Take everything I say with a grain of salt, etc. To start off, you're going to need to pry off this trim piece that frames the radio in. I found the easiest way to do this was to start in the bottom corners. You can use anything really, a standard screwdriver or some kind of trim piece prior, plastic preferably. Once you get the bottom loose, you can start on the sides. It'll be a little sticky, especially if you haven't done this before, but you're probably not going to break anything. It's the top that's most sensitive. Go ahead and pry the piece up about 45 degrees, and the tabs holding it in place will release. What you're going to do next here is take out the 4 screws holding it into the frame, which you can see I've already done. They're just your average Phillips screws. From here, you're free to remove the radio and set those screws somewhere safe. You don't want to misplace them. Before you yank it out, though, there are wires on the other end, so please be careful. You can remove each of these plugs by pinching the top and bottom. It can be tricky, so it helps to have a second person here if you can. In all of the steps I'm about to show you, I have already taken this radio apart, so what's depicted on screen is not entirely accurate time and effort-wise, shall we say. The face of the radio is held on by 4 small screws on the short sides of the radio, which I've already removed here, but where those little black tabs stick out is where they go in. This is what they look like, in case you're curious. Once you remove the screws, go ahead and flip the radio onto its long side, and you can see 2 notches with arrows. And this is where you're going to start prying the face off. There are also 2 small notches with arrows on the short sides. When prying, I went between a few tools, my favorite of which was the set of micro utensils that I originally got for a cell phone repair. And they're basically mini trim piece priers, but I thought they worked really well. You could also use a standard screwdriver or a small pry bar like this one, but you do run the risk of snapping some of the plastic like I did. Once you do get a tool wedged between the face and that notch, work your way around the face, gently prying on each side. When you do finally get the face free, set it on its end with the face looking up, and you can take the outer casing off. It comes off pretty easily. It might get stuck on some of the keys. The keys also pop off. Set them aside. Next comes the frame that holds the keys, and underneath that is the circuit board. These are the lights that illuminate all of your dials. They're not LED, as some of you may be surprised. They're just normal bulbs. Before I got to them, they had little rubber caps on. I'm not a very technical person, so I don't know what those are called. And that was what was turning the display green. Here's one on my finger for scale. So to put them on, you can just pop them on like you see me doing there and pinch them to take them off. Careful not to break the glass. I did break one of the bulbs doing this. If you have a pair of good tweezers, I would recommend that. Here are the red caps that I ordered off of eBay to replace the blue ones. As you can see, they're quite a bit bigger. The size I ordered was T5, and I ended up having to cut them down, but they worked just fine in the end. And here they are, all laid out on the circuit board. It was tricky to get it inside the LCD there, but a pair of tweezers, once again, would recommend. From there, just put the pieces back on in the reverse order you took them off. So first comes the frame for the keys. If any of the keys snap off, they're pretty easy to get back in. There's just that pin and then 2 clips, and they're all the same like that. Then the control knobs to hold that in. Then comes the main face. After I get that firmly pressed in, I like to check all of the buttons to make sure they all still depress. And from there, put the screws back in and make sure the whole thing is in order. To replace the radio, simply reconnect all of the wires, place it back in the cavity, rescrew, and put the trim back on. It's much easier to put back together than it is to take apart. Make sure all of the corners of the trim are set in place. And here you can see the final product. NPR still comes through and it's red. So I hope this video was of some help to you if you're trying to dismantle your radio. I will leave a link to the shop I got the rubber caps from on eBay in the description. So yeah, cheers!